I can't hear a thing. the bar at the bottom of their screens, which has an option that allows a member to put up his or her hand to raise a point of order. The Secretariat will assist me when members are requesting to speak. And when using the virtual system, members are urged to refrain or desist from unnecessary points of order or interjections. Continuous unnecessary points of orders or interjections will lead to a member being removed from the platform. We shall now proceed to the order, which is debate on vote number 14, Statistics South Africa, Appropriation Bill. I now recognize the Honourable Minister in the Presidency. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Thank you, Chair of Chairs. I'm sure I hope you can hear me.
You are audible, Honourable Minister. You may continue.
Thank you very much. Honourable Chair of Session, Deputy Minister and the President, Honourable Thembi Sweya, honourable members of the House, distinguished guests, joining us virtually and physically. Fellow South Africans, I greet you all. It is my honor to join you today to present the Statistics South Africa 2022-23 Budget Vote 14. Mindful that national statistics systems all over the world play a critical role in the development of any country, and South Africa is no exception. When President Ramaphosa gave me the responsibility to do this job, for which I am trying my best to do, I am charged with the responsibility in serving people, and it's a task I did not take lightly. It is even more so because the numbers that any national statistic agency produce are not just mere numbers. They reflect the circumstances of our people and the pulse of the nation. The numbers that Stats SA always present to us are about lives of our people as we aspire to achieve a better life for all. Let me appropriately borrow from President Ramaphosa on the occasion of State of the Nation on 13 February 2020, open quote, "It is you, the people of South Africa, who carry this burden, confronted by rising living costs, unemployment, unable to escape poverty, unable to realize your potential. These are not just statistics," close quotes. Chair, notwithstanding the devastation wrought upon all of us by COVID-19 pandemic, Stat SA continued to deliver on its core statistical program during 2021-22, ensuring that our country has quality official statistics for decision-making. We are all patently aware that at this moment in the life of this nation, reliable and trustworthy data, statistics, and information are critical so that as policymakers, we can take decisions that will not just shape our tomorrow, but also impact positively on the lives of generations to come. Honorable members, statistics must inform our decision and is used to inform better planning, better implementation, and better outcomes in our country. The population census offers us the most comprehensive set of statistical information to the lowest geographical level. This data, honorable members, this data set is the new statistical information baseline for the country and must therefore inform our planning, policy formulation, evaluation, budget allocation, amongst others, to enable better decision-making. The population census that is conducted every 10 years is the biggest survey undertaken by any statistical organization. The census is massive and complex endeavor where all the people in South Africa are enumerated and their characteristics and living conditions separately recorded. It is a stock taking of our people, where and how they live. It indeed provides information on the demographic, economics, and social dynamics for all persons in the country. Census, honorable members, 22 is the fourth census since the dawn of democracy, 2022, 2021 should have been the census year for South Africa. However, Stat SA, like countless other national statistic offices, have been forced to postpone census activity in the light of the ongoing pandemic. This census has seen the organization rise to yet another level of deploying technology amidst the most trying times of COVID-19. Census 2022 is the first ever digital census conducted in South Africa. All preparatory work for the census continued to be disrupted at every corner. This necessitated the organization to deploy a three-pronged approach to reach out to members of the public, namely face-to-face using tablets, telephone-assisted, and cell phone enumeration on the web. Data, I beg your pardon, sure. Data collection kicks off in February 2022. We are now at the tail end of data collection for Census 2022. To date, we have completed the census count for 8 of the 9 provinces, and we are currently wrapping up our census collection activities in the Western Cape. In the 2022-23 financial year, we will focus our efforts on the processing and analysis of the census data. A post-enumeration survey will be conducted in June 2022 to assess the over or under account of the census. This has been a difficult census, and all things being equal, the organization will report the result to the nation next year this time. I would like to call upon all those who have not yet been reached by Stat SA field workers to complete the questionnaire online on the Stat SA website. Honorable members, as policymakers, we seek to change today's realities and to make the world a better place for all its people. And we need all the people we can get. In this process, official statistics remain a critical role player in that it helps us to have better clarity in the shaping of our decisions and alternative options. Stats SA has, over the past 28 years, worked tirelessly to build a world-class organization which is part of the national system of statistics. This is an organization that has taken its rightful place in the production of our official statistics, which are the bedrock of any strong democratic society. The production of statistics help us see to what extent we are attending to the triple scourge of poverty, inequality, and unemployment as we navigate to a better life for all. As a matter of fact, civil society, captains of industry, and everybody else depend on statistics on issues of societal engagement. We note, Honorable Chair, that businesses depend on statistics to better understand the investment climate and ever-changing consumer behavior, while trade unions use statistics for wage bargaining, to name just a few. Status A, Honorable Chair, continues to track the developments and changes within South Africa's economy and society, and regularly report on various aspects thereof. In 2020-23, the Economic Statistics Program will continue to deliver key national economic indicators by publishing 228 statistical releases and reports in line with international statistical standards. We're, however, investing in key initiatives to improve how we measure the economy, which includes, amongst others, 1, improving the measurement of price indices. This is what we have to say about that. The Consumer Price Index is going digital. The CPI is an exceeding important measure of both well-being and change. It is also the most widely used of the statistics series. It is used by a Monetary Policy Committee of the Reserve Bank in their setting of repurchase repo rate, a key determinant of interest rates. We are optimizing the use of technology in various areas of organization. State SA will also be researching on the introduction of a residential property price index as part of the suite of measuring price changes. The other area is the area of researching the expansion of the economic statistical information base. Here we will be publishing a discussion document on quarterly capital expenditure, conducting research on the use of administrative data for quarterly financial statistics of selected municipalities, conducting research to expand the coverage of national capital accounts series, and compiling a research report on the inclusion of the technical and vocational education and training in the higher education institutions release. Honorable members, the Population and Social Statistics Program will continue to deliver key national socio-economic indicators by publishing 48 statistic releases and reports in 2022-23 in line with the international statistical and standards and practices. The organization has evolved over the past 2 years with the introduction of new and innovative methodologies in our household survey program, not without its challenges. The census has also shown us how to institutionalize a multimodal approach to data collection. We will build on these innovations and investments in the coming years, Honorable Chair. Other key initiatives to improve how we measure the socio-economic environment includes the research and harnessing of alternative data sources in the data ecosystem to enhance and augment the production of official statistics. President Nelson Mandela, during the occasion of Make Poverty History campaign of the 3rd February 2005 at the Trafalgar Square in London, United Kingdom, once said, open quote, "Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It is an act of justice. It is the protection of the fundamental human right, the right to dignity and a decent life," close quote. As a responsible government, we have to work tirelessly every day of our lives to end poverty amongst our people. Total emancipation comes with the end to poverty. Our people will know better life when the poverty is gone. It is for this reason that State SA has to continue to measure the effect of poverty in society. Our National Statistics Office, like all of us in government, are trying to do more with less, given the prevailing financial constraints. We are glad to report that State South Africa has received additional funding to conduct an income and expenditure survey from October 2022 to November 2023 to provide a comprehensive information on the poverty situation in South Africa. Honorable members, we have a responsibility to ensure that both the institution, its devoted staff, and its important mandate are protected to perform their task within the framework of independence. Such independence ensures that our official numbers have integrity. It is this creative interaction between statisticians and policymakers, always fraught with potential tension, that is worthy to protect. It was for this critical reason that the statistics law of nations enjoins government and society to ensure that statistics are planned, collected, and disseminated without fear or favor. Our standing as a nation and as a country is intertwined with the successful and democratic uptake of statistics. Honorable Chairperson, the organization is now in its 3rd year of implementing its 5-year strategic planning. The strategy expresses the almost single-minded approach to further embrace and improve the evolving data ecosystem, so essential to deepening of the South African democracy, with the explicit objective to transform the way we work and the way we lead statistical system in the country, to be responsive to the growing user demands for sustainable development. It is therefore no surprise that the organization is guided by its inspiring vision of improving lives through data ecosystem. Combined with this vision, the organization's strategic focus for 2023 will remain the sustaining of quality of national indicators to inform evidence-based decisions and bringing new insights to users, driving legislative reform to strengthen statistical coordination in the country, and driving a transformation and change agenda to optimize, innovate, and diversify the operations and capability of the organization and the data ecosystem. Honorable members, we have often spoken about the constraints imposed by the pandemic on the production of statistics. We have seen this impediment affecting national statistic agencies across the globe, yet Stat.SA continues to rise above the waters to ensure that our nation does not fail to be provided with this essential public good. As an agile organization, Stat.SA has had to adapt quickly in its uptake of the fourth industrial revolution. Honorable members, the Public Finance Management Act Section 27 directs the minister to annually table this budget, and it is my honor to deliver Vote 14, which over the MTF is 2.8 billion in 2023, 2.6 billion and 2.8 billion in 2023-24 and 2024-25 financial years respectively. Stats.SA has received an additional allocation of 132 million over the MTF period to fill critical vacancies that has been vacant since October 2016. 206 million over the MTF period to conduct the income and expenditure survey, 105 million for 2022-23 for the post-enumeration survey and other census activity. We recognize the importance of fully funding the statistical function in the country, and engagement with National Treasury are continuous to ensure that these challenges are addressed. I hereby request Parliament to support the budget vote for Statistics South Africa. Let me take this opportunity to appreciate the role that the Deputy Minister in the Presidency, Mr. Miswaya, who assists me with taking care of the responsibility of Stats.SA in its daily function. I would be remiss in my response as a minister if I did not take note of the work of South African Statistics Council, which is charged with the independent act of safeguarding the integrity of our official statistics. I therefore want to acknowledge the work of Chair of Statistical Council, Prof. David Everett, supported by the entire council for their dedication and continued support in the statistical development of our country. I would further like to express my appreciation to the Statistician General, Mr. Senga Mamluleke, and the entire Stat.SA staff for steering the ship through some of the roughest seas and other obstacles to ensure that this nation and its policymakers have the necessary data and information in order to face the future with greater confidence and certainty. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for presenting the budget for Statistics South Africa. The next speaker is the Honorable James. Is the Honorable James on the platform? If the Honorable James is not available, then I'll move on to the Honorable Mbele. The Honorable Mbele.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I hope I am clearly audible. Ngiyabonga futhi sihlelo ngaphambili futhi ngibingelele kulendlu ekhona ihlangene. Statistics South Africa is faced with three key and immediate questions, and the answers that it chooses and pursues to those questions will heavily influence both its trajectory and the extent of its viability to fulfill its mandates effectively for the short to medium term. The first question is, how will Stats.SA adapt to an operating environment of constrained and decreasing financial resources for the foreseeable future? Based on its own research and projections, South Africa faces a sustained scenario of low economic growth and declining tax revenues for several years to come. The impacts of this trend has already been underway and is seen in the fact that since 2015, the income and expenditure survey has not been conducted due to budget shortfalls. The second question facing the institution is how it will, and indeed whether it will be able to, fill chronic and critical vacancies both sustainably and at critical mass. It is well known that Stats SA is highly vulnerable to ongoing skills scarcity and skills drain dynamics concerning its human capital, owing to the competitiveness of private sector employment alternatives for these valuable skill sets. And the third and final question of crucial importance that is to be considered is how and to what extent the entity will innovate on its operating model to capitalize on greater connectivity and adaptive methodologies on various cyber platforms, especially in this post-COVID era, in order to reduce costs, save time, and improve research outputs, both qualitatively and quantitatively. Our changing economic and social realities have continually expanded the demand for statistical information. In particular, more detailed statistics are needed, and they are required more frequently if policies are to be responsive and effective. Furthermore, statistics in the public domain must be of high quality in order to be useful. Responding to this increased demand for high quality stats will thus require more innovation and more partnership building, especially given that the 2022-23 budgets decreased by 46.3% in real terms since the previous year. Now, Chairperson, this debate would of course not be complete without raising Census 2022, as the Minister has already mentioned, and in particular, the myriad problems that have cropped up with it. From a haphazard start characterized by recruitment and training issues, vehicle delivery delays, and challenges with tablets and their operability, to repeated extensions of the various phases of the enumeration process, the project has been in disarray in seemingly every aspect, which raises significant concerns about the viability and trustworthiness of its results, especially in locales where there seems to be significant undercounting, and therefore the sample sizes are not reliable. While we welcome the recent and much needed activation of effective functionality for online self-enumeration, we cannot ignore or forget the staggering incompetence and effectiveness that has characterized the Census 2022 process over the last 3 months. From the perspective of many observers, the census process would simply be called a counting catastrophe, and simply being the latest installments in ANC-sponsored state collapse and dysfunction. As the DA, we made 2 requests early in the implementation of the census for detailed progress update reports on the shambles as it was starting to play out. When Stats SA did finally appear before the Public Service and Administration Portfolio Committee last week, it proved to be inadequate time for proper scrutiny and interrogation of the issues. This experience clearly demonstrates the need for a separate oversight portfolio committee on the presidency to ensure dedicated monitoring and scrutiny of the presidency portfolio. And that is a long-standing call of the DA, which we make once again. Now, Chairperson, at the start of my speech, I raised 3 questions that confronts Stats SA and that will fundamentally affect it going forward. But there is a 4th question of relevance for this debate, which is not for Stats SA per se, but for the Minister, and it concerns the application of research findings from the work of Stats SA to shape government policy and decision-making. It is said, as echoed by the Minister, that the data and information products of the entity are meant to facilitate evidence-based planning, decision-making, and monitoring and evaluation of government policies, programs, and projects. But that does not seem to be the case, judging by worsening employment, investments, and other socio-economic indicators. As I asked at the Portfolio Committee meeting of the 2nd of March, concerning the research, monitoring, and evaluation activities that are implemented in the portfolio. And this is that fourth question, which I hope the Minister can respond to at the end of this debate. What is the process that is followed or meant to be followed after the production of a research or evaluation report, such that it creates an information feedback loop to tackle those challenges identified? And where is that value chain currently breaking down? One continually has to question why it is that the ongoing findings of stubborn and growing unemployment in South Africa, especially among young people, have not led to radical and fundamental labor policy reform to incentivize employment creation for inexperienced and unskilled job seekers, such as exempting small and medium enterprises from collective bargaining agreements. One also has to ask why it is that population numbers, density, and growth trends do not translate into responsive and adequate allocation of policing resources in the communities where they are most needed, in order to keep police to citizen ratios within a reasonable range to ensure police visibility, rapid reaction, and effective investigations. One additionally has to ask why the glaring picture of growing and deepening poverty in our society, and in the face of inescapable fiscal constraints within the public sector, is not leading to an aggressive drive by governments to facilitate and forge strategic public-private partnerships that pool resources, combine expertise, and lead to synergy between business, governments, and the civic sector, so we can address these socio-economic challenges that we are faced with. Chairperson, the time is coming when there is no more room for dilly-dallying or for messing around. We have to optimize, we have to innovate, we have to adapt, and crucially, we have to ensure that we work on an evidence-based basis and not on doctrine and not on flights of fantasy. The work of Stats SA is crucial to inform all of that thinking and planning and decision-making. But all of that research and thinking and planning and decision-making will come to naught if we do not allow the work and the findings of Stats SA to put us on the right path and on the right course to effectively and sustainably address those challenges. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Before I call the next speaker, I just want to determine if the Honourable James is on the platform. Honourable James.
Chairperson.
Yes, Honourable Khadebe.
Can we have Honourable Ngweba coming instead of Honourable James, please?
Where's Honourable Ngweba on the speakers list?
Yeah, it's number 9. She's number 9 on the speakers list.
Thank you, Honourable Khadebe.
All right, thank you.
May I invite the Honourable Ngweba?
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and good morning, honourable members and the people of South Africa. The African National Congress remains committed to the vision of a capable, ethical, and developmental state, which is described in the National Development Plan, defined as a state inundated with the capability to mobilize all sections of society and lead the transformation of the political economy to address the challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequalities. The NDP and the medium-term strategic framework are informed by statistical information provided by the Statistics South Africa, which provides more than 250 statistical releases per annum. Honorable members, the statistics is an indispensable tool for national development, growth, and planning, and a government without viable infrastructure for information generation, dissemination, and usage is severely handicapped in doing proper planning, monitoring, and evaluation of development programs and projects, and also in arriving at good decision with respect to the National Government Policy Foundation. The United Nations in 2010 on World Statistics Day encouraged that governments at all levels should embark on building a very viable information systems in order to have adequate statistical information for designing a formidable social and economic policy. It further suggested that the national statistical systems in any country should get more attention if the country is to have an orderly and definite development program. Honorable members, we therefore welcome the increase in Program 7 over the medium term, which responds to this question of national statistical systems. In national development, the aspirations of a policy should be to attain goals such as full employment, price stability and economic growth, equilibrium in the balance of payment, equitable distribution of income, educational development, social security, political stability, and so on. In order to achieve a fair measure of success in these goals, there is a need to map out strategic plans, set up implementation process, set up goals. There is a need to map out the strategic plans, set out machinery for execution of the plans, and monitor the implementation process. This is why the role and mandate of Statistics South Africa is vital to our political economy. Honorable members, monitoring is a continuous process that requires data which is generated to assist in establishing whether planned targets are likely to be achieved or not. Statistics South Africa is required to play a crucial role in monitoring and evaluation of ongoing economic reform programs of the government, such as economic recovery and reconstruction program, which was introduced following the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Statistical data is imperative as it will provide the necessary information on performance indicators, which serve to measure the impact of policy and programs on the quality of life of target populations. Honorable members, the various issues facing our country, such as unemployment, poverty, income inequalities, shortage of skills professionals in technology, science and medicine, and reform of social programs require statistics that will provide insight to the underlying realities. Honorable members, the provision of such strategic information in the context of declining resources is the major challenge facing Statistics South Africa. The situation, of course, calls for priority setting. By this, we mean identifying the new information to be produced, the dissemination approaches to be favored, the means of optimizing operational efficiency and of reducing response burden, and the program reductions made by the budget constraints. Honorable Chair and honorable members, the realities thrusted upon us by the global socio-economic environment and the recent disruptive developments such as the COVID-19 pandemic and now the war in Europe have expanded the needs for statistical information that is more detailed and more rapid if policy is to be responsive. In the current conjuncture, we have seen developments in the geopolitical space that had an impact in our political economy, which was on recovering from the effects of COVID-19 global pandemic. These developments, we have resulted in price instability in oil and food, have to be analyzed using accurate and more detailed statistics to make inference and modify the economic reconstruction and recovery plan. Honorable members, we must also be cognizant of the emerging new realities that are emerging in an advent of the fourth industrial revolution that is driven by the digital technology. The world fast transition towards digitization and our economy has not been spared. In fact, Statistics South Africa has illuminated us on that one of the factors contributing to the growth and unemployment is that some sectors in the economy, such as finance, telecommunication, and retail, have cut manual jobs and introduced digitization. Under this new dispensation of what some scholars have characterized as surveillance capitalism, the collection, the dissemination, and propagation of data information will give competitive edge to public and private entities. And those who fail to invest in the national statistical system will fail to be innovative and agile in ever-changing environment. And this will result in declining economic activity and more job losses. Even more critical in this context is that countries with inferior national data system may be susceptible to incorrect, disruptive social political narratives. We got a glimpse of this last year during the July social unrest in Gauteng and KZN. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, the world is still reeling for the effects of the COVID-19 global pandemic. A lot of lives have been lost and our institutions have been significantly affected. Stats South Africa has not been spared. The collection of data through primary research that dispatches field workers to engage with communities directly has had to be modified and gradually merged with other approaches. This was necessitated by the new normal. Furthermore, this period has heightened the need for the digitization of data collection by the State SA. Following the impact of COVID-19 on the lives and livelihoods of our people, we are looking forward to the Census 2022, which will illuminate us in the terms of underlying realities in our society. This will assist to locate the areas of focus that need to be sharpened for effective policy implementation, especially the economic reconstruction and recovery plan. Honorable members, welcome the increase in Program 1 over the medium term. This will provide support for projects such as Census 2022 project and others of strategic importance. The African National Congress endorses the budget. I thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. I would now like to invite the speaker from the EFF. I see the Honorable Teza on the platform. Is it you, honorable member?
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
How are you going to do it? Thank you. My apologies.
Thank you very much. Chairperson, the EFF rejects the proposed austerity budget to cut the Stats SA budget by the National Treasury. Chairperson, allow us to first congratulate the States General, Mr. Rasinge Malulega, the team at Stats SA, and all the field workers. We all know they worked under the challenging conditions to carry out the 2022 census. We know this to be true because since our arrival as the EFF here in Parliament, we learned that there was a deliberate effort by the ruling party to defund, collapse the Stats SA. The systematic defunding and collapse of Stats SA has signified the ruling party's true intentions toward the people of South Africa. The ANC's intent to perpetuate poverty. The ANC wants young people to live in the streets unemployed. They want our children to continue to learn under the trees and in mud schools. Workers continue to receive wages that are less than what their great-grandparents received in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. While doing all this, They don't want a capable and dependable Stats SA to tell the country and the world about the shocking conditions our people find ourselves in. Honorable Chairperson, no policy will bring about a concrete and practical solution without a proper understanding of the material conditions, and that's why Stats SA exists. It exists to be a credible source of data, and that should and must inform policy formulation and implementation. But guided by austerity, the Stats SA budget has consistently been cut. This has compromised the quality, scale, and scope of work of the Stats SA and which that they can do. This parliament has consistently failed to interrogate proposed budget cuts and their implications because the ruling party is abusing its majority. This is what it means to defund Stats SA. We know where we live in a country with the highest levels of unemployment, gender-based violence characterized by extreme, unimaginable levels of violence. For a country that does not have wars, our mortality rate is way too high, Chairperson. We know that the gap between the rich, mainly the whites, and the poor, mainly the blacks, has increased since 1994. We also know that the basket of food, the cost of each food item, and electricity, water, and sanitation have increased drastically. We know these things because we live and experience them on our daily basis. While we know many of these things, we lack quantitative and qualitative studies because the Stats SA hasn't collected this data, or when they wanted to collect it at the last minute, such initiative get cancelled because of the lack of resources. Time and again, Chair, we warned against these senseless budget cuts. Now come and want to allocate some money so that Stats SA can fill the critical posts that have been vacant since 2016 without a thorough impact assessment study, and nothing but this is a lip service. Minus once-off allocation that was also insignificant for the 2022 census. Allocation to Stats SA has declined. It will continue to decline, as shown by the average decline of more than 17% over the medium term. We must do this to stabilize Stats SA and build a capable institution, Chairperson. Number one, Stats SA must be an independent institution, away from manipulations and pressure of the government. It must be a standalone, like a Chapter 9 institution that issues data without fear or favor. Number two, Parliament must look closely at the impact caused by many years of defunding of Stats SA. Study the impact of prolonged vacancies of critical positions, cancellation of essential studies, and come to a more practical funding for Stats SA instead of lip service. Number three, Stats SA must be given a clear mandate to collect and disseminate data that should inform the beneficiation of mineral resources, job creation, and industrialization in South Africa. Chair, number four, Stats SA must be accessible at all and to all, including schools, community-based organizations, NGOs, all political parties, and traditional leaders. As the EFF, we say we must find Stats SA in every municipality building, accessible to everyone and to all. Number five, Chair, Stats SA must present to the public a clear, practical, and implementable strategy to rebuild human resource capacity. Lastly, Statistician General. Many verified field workers are not paid after doing their work. And many young people have come to the EFF labor desk to request our intervention to get their monies. And we have personally communicated this to you. And you have promised that they will be paid. The days that you said they will be paid are over, and they haven't been paid at the moment. We are awaiting, and we are going to hold you accountable. We want to plead with you to pay all these field workers and set up a clear and adequate communication processes to resolve as many of these unpaid claims by field workers as possible, as soon as possible, within the short space of time. We hope this will be resolved as soon as possible, Statistician General. We cannot accept a budget failing to allocate enough resources to build the Stats SA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Nkosi Tebekulu.
Thank you, House Chairperson, all members, and South African population that is visual. Chairperson, Statistics South Africa is an important department that helps government to make systematic decisions regarding the economy of and our society. Its work provides South Africans with an overview of government performance and an understanding of the quantity of reform we need in South Africa. One of the key indicators we as South Africans look for is the quality release of employment data as we face an unemployment crisis in this country. Whilst there is a great appreciation for the work Stats SA does, we need greater integration of this department into all other government departments and institutions such as Parliament. What is needed is that Stats SA takes over the research component in each department, yet remains independent of the departments. This will help government to centralize a database of resources that provides information to guide decisions. The maintenance of its department independence will additionally help to create a professional public service that makes informed decisions based on quality and ethical research. The importance of having correct and unaltered information when making decisions cannot be emphasized enough. The IFP would like to support the committee's recommendation regarding the filling of vacancies and encouraging the department to hire more youth in these vacancies. It is important for the youth of this country to actively participate in the research and understanding of the needs for the next generation. However, the department must invest in attracting and retaining persons who provide value to such an important instrument for decision making. It is connecting that. I'm sorry. It is concerning that the people are living for greener pastures. The department needs to look at its incentive package in much more detail and retail identity individuals with qualities and consistency and endurance. The recent issue of accuracy in the census conducted in Stats SA is a matter of concern. The census of our country is a baseline that informs us of the population, its growth, and important socio-economic issues. We've noticed that a large quantity of rural-based people have not been counted, and yet, and they do not have access to data and in order to complete the online forms. This presents a major challenge going forward when determining policies to address poverty, inequality, unemployment. We call on the minister to appraise the House on the success of the online census system as to whether it has reached its target audience. However, as Chair, recently the IFP has been receiving widespread complaints from farmers and farm workers who claim the census officials have either not visited their farms or have promised to return and have not done so. We request that state census officials return to the farmland in South Africa and undertake an accurate count so that vast numbers of people are not left unaccounted. The recent flooding in KZN has changed the social position of thousands of people overnight, as they are now left with no homes, businesses, and personal belongings. This warrants a revisit to the province by Stats SA to relook at the data that will be used to determine policy going forward. The work by Stats SA can prove the invaluable, as this department has the ability to set a clear agenda for South Africa. The IFP supports the budget. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Denner.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. House Chair, the budget that we will be debating over the coming days reflects the key priorities of government in order to achieve a number of identified economic and development goals. En kardinaal tot die begroting om hierdie ekonomiese en ontwikkelingsdoelwitte te bereik is uiteraard beplanning. Beplanning wat deeglik gedoen kan word slegs as die korrekte data tot departemente se beskikking is. Maar deeglike beplanning strek veel wyer as regeringsdepartemente en die begroting waar kritiese toewysings gegrond op populasiesyfers en ander faktore gebaseer is ten einde ekonomiese en ontwikkelingsdoelwitte te behaal. Die data wat deur Statistiek Suid-Afrika versamel en uitgereik word, is ook van kardinale belang vir die privaat sektor, die akademie en die regeringsorganisasies om enkele rolspelers te noem, wat gebruik maak van Statistiek Suid-Afrika se nagenoeg 250 opnames en verslae wat oor die tydperk van die jaar uitgereik word. Daarom, agbare voorsitter, is dit uiters belangrik dat hierdie entiteite eerstens behoorlik befonds en tweedens dat die beskikbare fondse behoorlik bestee word. Behoorlike besteding van fondse, anders as wat te sien was met die onlangse sensusopname. Dit wil voorkom of die onlangse sensusopname uiters gebrekkig aangepak is om die minste te sê. Benewens die feit dat die finalisering van die opname van ten minste 3 keer uitgestel is, was en is daar steeds deurlopend probleme ondervind, onder meer ten aansien van 'n tekort aan en probleme met vervoer vir veldwerkers, tegnologiese uitdagings met die tablette wat deur werkers gebruik is, en om die opnames te doen en gebrekkige betaling aan gebrekkige veldwerkerskorps, waarvan daar in die eerste plek minder aangestel is om meer mense en huishoudings te tel as gedurende die 2011 sensusopname. Dit alles ten spyte van 'n meer as R2 miljard begrotingstoedeling vir hierdie projek. Behoorlike of gebrekkige besteding, agbare voorsitter. The vacancy rate at Stats SA, which is ever increasing due to a lack of financial resources for compensation of employees and a high staff turnover due to a lack of upward mobility, is an ever-present worrying factor. Die uittog van kundige, ervare personeel, wat oor die algemeen die kwaliteit van staatsdiens en administrasie in Suid-Afrika kniehalter, is ook baie duidelik by Statistiek Suid-Afrika te sien. Sedert aanvanklike begrotingsbesnoeiings, wat sowat 6 jaar gelede begin het, is hierdie as 'n probleemarea geïdentifiseer. Daarom word die addisionele toedeling van 132 miljoen oor die mediumtermyn, waarvan 44 miljoen begroot is vir die 2022-2023 finansiële jaar vir die vul van die sleutelposisies verwelkom. Van hierdie poste is reeds sedert Oktober 2016 vakant en die uitwerking daarvan is duidelik. Dit is dus van kardinale belang dat daar nie voete gesleep word met die vul van hierdie poste nie. Kundige en ervare kandidate moet so spoedig as moontlik aangestel word met meriete as die enigste kriteria. Chairperson, the COVID-19 pandemic had a devastating effect on our economy, on our employment numbers, and on a number of other factors. The very important work done by Stats SA was no exception. Therefore, it was necessary for the entity to modernize and automate the statistical value chain, a process that was accelerated by the pandemic. We saw this process in action during the recent census, albeit far from perfect. The implementation and expansion thereof across all programs to take place over the medium term with an allocation of 173.5 million rand will hopefully enable easier and more effective gathering of data for accurate and timeless reports. Reports such as the quarterly labour force survey, a very important statistical output, of which the most recent edition was delayed for reasons such as a slow response rate and the need to do quality checks. Delays such as these are unacceptable and must be addressed by any means necessary. Voorsitter, anders as met die meerderheid staatsentiteite, glo na raming 89% van die publiek steeds dat Statistiek Suid-Afrika 'n geloofwaardige instansie is. Hierdie reputasie mag dalk effe geskaad wees na die pas afgelope sensusopname, maar kan steeds gered word deur die geïdentifiseerde tekortkominge dringend aan te spreek, soos om kritiese poste te vul, wyses van dataversameling uit te brei en te moderniseer, by tydlyne vir data-uitsette te hou en behoorlike in plaas van gebrekkige begrotingsbesteding toe te pas. Ek dankie.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is from the ATM. Is there a member of the ATM who will participate in this debate? May I just also request the table staff to ascertain from the parties that's indicated on the speakers list and where there's no name appearing if indeed they are going to participate. I now recognize the Honourable Deputy Minister in the Presidency. The Honourable Deputy Minister. Is the Honourable Deputy Minister in the Presidency on the platform? Is the Honourable Sheikh Imam on the platform?
Yes, Chairperson, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. The National Freedom Party will support what tabled here today. Chairperson, the Statistics South Africa has a very important role to play in South Africa. And, the collection of data, which indeed will guide government on the decisions, the policies that it needs of service to the people in this country. Now, Stats South Africa for many years have been providing information of this nature. The question is, are we using this information to the best of our ability so that we could make difference in the lives of all people? And I think that's the question that we need to raise. If the information that is provided is not effectively used, then of course the data that is collected from Stats South Africa is meaningless. The other challenge that I want to talk about, Chairperson, is that Stats South Africa appears to quite often have a capacity challenge. And if they have a capacity challenge, means there's a question mark over the credibility of the stats or information or data that is actually being provided to us. The National Freedom Party is satisfied that with the additional budget allocation to Stats South Africa, it will go a long way in helping Stats South Africa provide us with that very important data that is needed to address. One good example is the high levels of the unequal society that we live in, and the levels of poverty in the country, the high levels of crime. And Stats South Africa have been for a period of time providing this information. And so, yes, indeed, the National Freedom Party will support this report and budget allocation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now recognize the Honourable Jafta.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable Chair, the SSA plays a significant role in our young democracy. This budget must therefore be consistent with our statistical priorities. The NDP's vision and other national development goals can only succeed if they are supported by curated and credible statistical data. Data employment rates, poverty levels, census survey, and Gini coefficient index, amongst others, all hinge on the work of the Statistics South Africa. Honourable Chair, Stats SA not only drives legislative reform, but informs government, businesses, labor, and the public on the state of the economy and how certain policy shifts can accelerate socio-economic development. This budget is therefore essential to helping Stats SA in its coordination, digitization, and strategy of harmonization. We also support this budget because SA is currently driving data revolution and coordinating 22 census survey. In this regard, Chair, the work of States SA Council must be supported and backed by sufficient funding. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Is there a speaker from COPE? Is there a speaker from the PAC?
Honourable Chair, the
Please,
PAC supports the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Nyonso. Honourable members.
James Ware is here, Chair. I've been...
Yes, just hold on, Deputy Minister, just hold on. Honourable members, I understand this is the first mini plenary.
Chair.
That is taking place. Honourable member, I'm busy addressing the platform. I will recognize you. I understand and the work taking place. However, it's important for everyone that appear on the speaking list to actually follow the debate and to ensure that when I call upon them that they are available. If you don't follow the debate, then you won't be able to know that another speaker has finished earlier or that another speaker was not available. So please, let's follow the debate and ensure that we are ready when we are called upon. I'm under no obligation to go back and to recognize members that has names were called. So please keep that in mind for many plenaries to follow. I now recognize the Deputy Minister in the Presidency. The Honourable Deputy Minister in the Presidency.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I have got a problem of network.
Please
Am
continue,
I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please continue.
Okay. And I want to apologize to the House. I just think I have a network problem. Thank you, Speaker. The Excellency, Mr. President Ramaphosa, the Deputy Minister, the Deputy President, David Mabuza, honorable members of the House, fellow South Africans, distinguished guests who might be following. The year 2022 was to a large degree a period of uncertainty. On the one hand, we had to deal with COVID-19, as we all know as South Africans, while we also had to deal with the devastating situation which occurred in the KwaZulu-Natal. Today, it is my singular honor to support the Minister in the Presidency, Mr. Monzi Gubele, in presenting the budget of Statistics South Africa, or what you popularly know as Statistics SA. Honorable Speaker, Statistics South Africa, amongst others, is a critical institution in the life of our developmental state in the making. We share the view that statistics is a fundamentally integral part of our democracy. This is because there is a high degree of trust in relation to the work which the institution does, which is enormous in contributing to improve the quality of our democratic debate, which also improves reliable indicators that are vital in our decision-making, especially for this House. Honorable Speaker and members, disruptions, which also included the national disaster and so on, have propelled us into the mindset of the fourth IR. The convergence of technologies and the digital economy have impacted South Africa as a society considerably. This includes our operations as Statistics South Africa, which also includes the collective responsibility to build the nation through credible statistics. It is in this context that we are presenting this vote of Statistics South Africa and its enormous work. This is the third year, Chair and members of the House, that we are implementing what we call the new strategic direction of the organization. It is in this context that we want to present to South Africans and fellow House members that Statistics South Africa has taken a shape of informing and ensuring that we rely and we comply to the new norm of ensuring that the ecosystem of collecting data is utilized. As much as we are crying about the impact of COVID-19, we are also gladly happy that it has ensured that we move strategically to ensure that we use other forms of collecting data. Today, we present to you a methodology which will work for the financial year of 2020-2023 in informing that our ecosystem comes to effect, it works, and it becomes a reality. Yet again, we must support what has been presented by the Minister Monty Gugubele in ensuring that we implement the new strategic priorities of the institution and implement what is it that Statistics South Africa has to do. We must also thank the stewardship and the guidance of the Statistician General, or what you call the SG, Mr. Senga Maluleke, together with the leadership of the Statistician General, Professor David Avet, in ensuring that Statistics South Africa remains on par and it does what is expected of itself. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Manelli. The Honourable Manelli.
I'm here, Chair.
Please proceed.
Okay, thanks, Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister and Deputy Ministers, Honourable Members, Stats SA is a significant role player in enhancing the achievement of government priorities as set out in the medium-term strategic framework. It is a critical organization in the work of building a developmental state through the collection of data and interpreting it so that it becomes useful information that guides policy formulation and implementation. The African National Congress, unlike many other political parties and government, is committed to driving social transformation through policies aimed at eradicating poverty, reducing unemployment and inequality. Unlike other political parties that rely on empty political rhetoric and slogans, the ANC relies on science. As a vanguard of the National Democratic Revolution, the ANC is the leader of the program of social and economic transformation in South Africa.
Wait, guys, what science? Wait, jeez.
We don't do lip service, as alluded to by the member of the EFF. We have to acknowledge the significant role that Stats SA plays in informing the socio-economic dynamics of our country for evidence-based decisions. We cannot doubt that many South Africans, including government, business, various institutions and organizations, rely on statistics as produced by Statistics South Africa to inform their research, their policies and decision projects and programs, and including what happens around the globe. This is all done through the provision and the collection of relevant and accurate statistics by using internationally approved practices to inform us all. It therefore becomes critical for Stats SA to be allocated a budget that enables the entity to fulfill and carry out its mandate, and most importantly, to assist the country to attain its priorities of economic transformation and job creation and social cohesion. Honorable members, we cannot disregard the dreadful ramification of the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects it had on our country and the world over. Stats SA was also affected by COVID-19. However, we commend the resilience of Stats SA as if it has made major efficiencies by progressing to digital collection, which it enhanced under lockdown. Moreover, it is important to note that SA Digital Transformation Program to modernize and automate the statistical value chain has been accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the current financial year, Stats SA has been allocated an overall budget of 2.8 billion, noting and understanding that this is a decrease compared to the previous financial year. However, this is mainly due to the once-off allocation of 2.1 billion to conduct the Census 2022. We have to acknowledge and recognize the importance of conducting a census and the significance it has on our country. The most important aspect in any society is human capital. Census is important because it helps compile a numerical profile of South Africa. This in turn informs decision-making at all levels, both in governments and in private sector. It is a total count of the country's population where demographic, social, and economic information, as well as information about the housing conditions of the people who live in South Africa is gathered. Observing the challenges and understanding the implications of previous budget shortfalls that Stats SA has battled with, we believe that the challenges that faces them, they've been there even before COVID, were mainly due to the reduction of its funding and discontinuation of certain critical surveys since 2015-16 financial year. Chairperson, we however welcome the additional allocation from the National Treasury to Stats SA to allow for the continuity of the income and expenditure survey since it was last conducted in 2015. It will assist the country's planning in terms of understanding the poverty levels and developing appropriate intervention to alleviate them. We hope for more allocations so that South Africa can produce more surveys that need bigger samples and to provide accurate district level data for the district development model. The challenges of high vacancy rate in South Africa is being addressed. Stats SA has received an additional allocation of 132.3 million over the medium term. Out of this allocation, 44 million has been allocated to specifically deal with the high vacancy rate through the filling of critical vacant posts in the entity. This is in response to the high staff turnover in the entity. As the ANC, we welcome this allocation and we believe that it will improve the human resource of the entity. Honorable Chair and honorable members, we are engulfed with high levels of unemployment, inequality, and poverty in our country. Upon endorsing budget, it is our duty as the ANC to ensure that our programs strive to address the triple challenges that face our nation. It is through the production of the income and expenditure survey, which is a critical instrument considering that we are a highly unequal society. Thus, Stats SA will measure living conditions by collecting data on household income and expenditure patterns during the current financial year. Furthermore, an additional amount of 206 million is allocated for the compensation of employees in the poverty and inequality statistics sub-program of the Population and Social Statistics Program. The number of employees in the program is set to increase from 144 in the 2021 financial year to 309 over the medium term. In the current financial year, a total amount of 105 million is allocated to the household survey and census sub-program in the Statistics Operation and Provincial Coordination Program. We welcome the increase in this program, Honorable Chairperson, as this program will help understand the dynamics of socio-economic conditions of our nation. As a country, we are still recovering from the devastating effects of COVID-19 that exacerbated the already high levels of unemployment. We are pleased to note that Census has already created employment opportunities for 165,000 people across the country. We welcome that Stats SA will continue to provide or to produce economic statistics. These stats will then inform evidence-based development for our economy. They also inform policy formulation, planning, monitoring, and evaluation. It is through the provision of these statistics that inform the economic reconstruction and recovery plan. Furthermore, Chairperson, the strategic intention of the Economic Statistics Program is focused mainly on driving the outcomes of providing insightful data and to provide a range of statistics that describes the dynamic of the economy as well as its links to job creation, economic growth, and environment and society. Statistics has influenced government's policy to be responsive in the form of relief grants to support distressed companies. Furthermore, unemployment statistics published by Stats SA also confirmed various grants funding provided by government, such as social relief grants to the unemployed and vulnerable, and other social relief grants during the COVID-19 pandemic. The social statistics have informed socio-economic intervention that have addressed the challenges faced by ordinary South Africans. Our objective as government is to improve the material conditions that our nation faces. It therefore becomes critical to be informed by evidence of the progress that we as a country are making, and the provision of statistics assist us to evaluate and plan accordingly. South Africa must continue to produce credible statistics, utilizing scarce resources to deliver quality basic statistics as it invests in and strengthens partnership with various stakeholders within the data ecosystem. Many institutions, including research institutions, private sector, public sector, and tertiary institutions must partner with Statistics South Africa to provide a contextual understanding in the socio-economic status which impact the lives of South Africans. We must congratulate Statistics South Africa for the sterling work it has done in measuring various sectors of our economy, such as the performance of government and private sector. Thanks to Stats SA, South Africa is one of the leading countries in Africa with an up-to-date national account. As I conclude, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, the Statistician General could not have said it better when describing Statistics South Africa and the importance of statistics. As the Statistician General, Mr. Risenga Maluleke had said, speaking about the organization that he is leading, I quote, "Official statistics is not only about samples, survey, and census. It is about human life and circumstances surrounding it. We are there when people are born, we are there throughout their life, and we are there when they die," close quote. Chairperson, I move for the House to adopt the budget. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now invite the Honourable Minister in the Presidency to respond to the debate. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Chair. One must appreciate the contribution made by members on this very important debate of our political science institution called Parliament, because this is a very fundamental item in the entire system of government. It's a critical platform for normal governance. It's a critical platform for responsive government, for responsive society. It is always very important when members find it in their heart that they stand, make their critical overview on how they view it. But I thought it would be important just to start on the issues raised by members, especially on the quality of the stats and independence. I think this has been raised by Honourable Member of EFF, the issues of quality raised by Honourable Member of DA, and adaptive stats raised strongly, especially from the global perspective, by Honourable Member Mkweba, and of course, I wouldn't ignore the closing words by Honorable Maneli against the bedrock of the Deputy Minister's speech. On the issue of quality, we want to reassure South Africans that Stats SA will always work within to ensure that it deals with the stats or items which are guaranteed quality in line with the resources at the disposal. They would never release information on stats that lack quality because of the lack of resources. And that will be tested as you look at their work during the quality assurance. For instance, there is a huge post-survey enumeration which looks at the quality of the stats. There's also a battery of tests that gets done by international experts. Stats SA would never release stats without these institutions, without this exercise of post-enumeration survey. At the same time, the battery of tests by international experts. It's only when it has gone through and interfaced all these institutions or these exercises, interface with this process, interface with these other experts that it is released. So State South Africa's work and its outcomes is quality and internationally tested. It's no mistake that Stats SA is rated number 5 in the world. It's one of the key institutions in the world that are consulted whenever the globe wants to move on this science. We've got our leaders in the Stats SA chairing the international institution. All these are also a demonstration of how South Africans should view their Stats SA and feel proud about it. We've got council, the Council of the States of Stats SA, that is led by Professor Everett. That council is a credible oversight institution. Before these stats are issued, they have to actually interface with that oversight, and they will always make a pronouncement on that. I thought it is important just to reassure South Africans on this issue of quality, which they can go and test it on their own. On the issue of Stats SA doing research, taking research work from other departments, there is a policy process in that protocol, in that regard. And also, I think Honorable Member Mbele spoke about whether indeed we operate in the context of the lack of resources, whether our operational model in terms of its technology and other, whether we work in such a manner that optimality is secured. We just want to advise that currently Stats SA is looking into alternative data source, including the harvesting of administrative data, to ensure that it can deliver on its mandate even in a limited funding environment, which is part of austerity. I wouldn't want to use this word austerity because sometimes it's misused by people who I'm not sure sometimes if they understand it, because just recently, this current year, the Minister of Finance and the President would have demonstrated in facts and figures that 59% of our budget goes to social wage. Social wage expenditure is not a sign of austerity. It's a budget that goes direct to the interest of people, access to housing, access to health, access to socio-economic infrastructure. In South Africa, that is 59% of our budget. So I don't know how do we reach this phenomenon of austerity budget, but the problem is it's always difficult to engage with people to whom facts don't mean anything. It's a very difficult debate to engage on, but I just want to reject this because it is not backed by any facts. But having said that, may I take this opportunity to thank all the members for this live participation in this debate, and we look forward to work with you. And I dare say I've been looking at other speeches historically. Members of Parliament do support the work of Stats SA, and not without criticism. And on the independence, we must check our legislature. I thought it's important to say that Stats SA is highly independent by law in South Africa. So if anyone doubts that, go and read our laws. And fortunately, we have hired all the time Statistics General who understand that independence. But unless you pick up in the information they release, there is a sense of lack of independence, would actually entertain that. I'm very comfortable in that. Honorable Chair, honorable members, thanks for the opportunity. Thank you very much. We table the budget.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, you are reminded that the debates on human settlements budget vote, health budget vote, and small business development budget vote will take place at 2 p.m. on the virtual platform. That concludes the debate and the business of this virtual mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise.
Thank you, Chair.